Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Luke here today again, and today I wanted to talk about a topic that I think a lot of people in even the Quant community probably overlook as a key factor slash business value for Overledger. We all know Overledger excels in interoperability of digital assets and logic between different networks, but something I wanted to talk about today was the business value behind that product in a more flexible kind of sense, right? We see in the blockchain space that all these different protocols are rising up. Fabric, Corda, Quorum, Ethereum, Cardano, EOS. I mean, I could go on for days here. All of them with their own different characteristics, specifications, advantage, disadvantages. And what I think has happened is it's kind of turned into a protocol wars, or as Deloitte put it here, look, I'm just going to go through some of the sources here. There have been a few different startups trying to create basically their own blockchains for specific use cases. They feel that kind of defeats the purpose. So basically what happens is we've seen a lot of use case specific blockchains pop up. For example, some blockchain might be good for this reason while another one could be good for this reason. The problem with this is, it's hard to pick a winner because it's not going to be a winner takes all situation. I doubt there's going to be one true blockchain. That's it. It just doesn't make sense. The inherent nature of blockchain is that, unfortunately, they excel in doing some things, while in other areas they have disadvantages. For Bitcoin example, it's the most decentralized and the most secure, but for that reason it has less transactions per second, etc. So today I wanted to talk about the business value of Overledger in this sense and how it removes the vendor lock-in in this space. So I'm just going to go through some sources talking about the issues. PwC says that 30% say, when we're talking about enterprises here, that 30% say that interoperability of systems is a key pain point for success, right? I think there was something else I wanted to touch on this page. If we look down here, similar things keep popping up. Ability to bring network together, separate blockchains not working together, inability to scale. So these are the kind of things that we're starting to see, right? And so again, I want to talk today about something that I like to call the global blockchain sandbox. Or as we like to say, or I like to say, Connector FOMO is another way of putting it. But essentially what I'm trying to say is Overledger removes vendor lock-in, and vendor lock-in is where a technology or a service someone wants to use, but they don't want to but they don't want to spend millions of dollars of resources and time locking themselves into that vendor or technology, and then maybe having to shift or pivot in the future. And that is very prevalent in fast-moving industries. Blockchain is a fast-moving industry. There's new innovation every single day. The pace is fast. And that also means that in 5 to 10 years' time, I can't tell you what the blockchain space is going to look like. I can't tell you what the protocols will look like. I can't tell you who's going to be a winner. That's a problem for enterprise who are trying to build out new systems based on this, because they move slower and they spend more money, and these resources need to be adequately utilized. So if we talk about this, this kind of highlight, I'm just going to go through again, highlights what I'm talking about. This is from Gartner. For enterprise blockchain solutions to become mainstream, Gartner said users shouldn't have to worry about picking the right platform, the right smart contract language, the right system interfaces, and the right consensus algorithms. Additionally, the company explained that the concerns about how users will interoperate with partners that use different blockchain platinums for their projects must be rectified. Fragmented blockchain market is composed of fragmented offerings that often overlap or being used in a complementary fashion, making technology choices confusing for IT decision makers. Again, we see here challenges in enterprise blockchain, right? Arbitrary pricing, that's kind of a business thing. Protocol, cloud, and vendor lock-in. This is what we're talking about. We don't want to see people getting locked into a single protocol, especially when they want to expand their use cases or interoperate with other networks for different use cases. No true decentralization. Well, I guess that's true in the enterprise blockchain space. Incompatible blockchain ecosystems. Look, Marco Polo, WeTrade, 2 examples. Interoperability issues. Again, just the basics here. Complications in building applications. again, it needs to be easy to use, something that Overledger has really tried to push for. And customers mixing up foundation level protocols with a complete business solution. That basically means they think they just plug on in and it's all working. But I think the real struggle that we're finding in the enterprise space is how to leverage the benefit of blockchain to integrate into existing systems. You can't just migrate to blockchain and it's all fixed. They're going to pick and choose different areas of different protocols for different use cases. And so this is what I'm going to touch on today. And I'm going to try to draw this a little bit better of what I'm talking about when I say an Overledger sandbox, right? So right now, like, you have these different protocols. I'm just going to draw some circles. All right, these are different protocols, and you have different things plugged into them. Let's say this is ETH. This is Cardano, and they're kind of like locked in, right? So let's say like developer 1, enterprise 2, enterprise 3, and they're all got different networks. This could be WeTrade running on Fabric. This could be Marco Polo running on Quarter, right? But at the moment, they don't interoperate through this way. They don't interoperate through this way. And by locking themselves into this platform, these guys now, let's say another guy comes along, another circle in the future or another circle in the future, and these guys want to communicate with them or use their protocol. Well, they've now created their platform in this one, and there's no way for them to jump across, right? And so what I envision, and this is what Overledger is, right? This is what Overledger is. Let me draw this up here. Okay. So in the middle, we have all these other these are just all different platforms, right? Split them out: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Quarter, Ripple. These are all different networks with their own partners, okay? And then what happens, right? This is what I'm talking about, Connector FOMO, right? So the basics of meta platforms and think to Netflix and stuff like that is they become more valuable the more users and the more value that is accrued in them, okay? And so over time, the more valuable they get, more people want to join them, and it becomes an exponential growth, okay? And so what happens is Overledger, which is a sandbox, right? If you write your applications via Overledger, you can use all of these entities inside, right? So what happens is all these guys on the outside, enterprises and developers and stuff, they want to move in. And so what happens when they move in is more protocols want to join in, okay? So let's say a recent example is Constellation, okay? And so now you're getting more protocols joining in. Why? Because this pool, the Overledger sandbox, clients like SIA, governments, Simbachain, etc., all their users and developers now have more choice. And so these protocols want to join on that, right? And so what happens is, as more people want to join inside, right, the bubble itself gets more valuable, okay? Let's think about it. If you were a small-time protocol developer like, I don't know, pick one. There's heaps of them. There's heaps of different startups all trying to focus on different niches, okay? It's going to be very hard for you to pitch your platform to large-scale enterprises just because it's just the way it is. But if you could pitch to them saying, try out our technology in a sandbox environment that you're already using, for example, Overledger, it allows them to be much more flexible. These enterprises can keep their current systems going and simply port onto the new smart contract language or the new protocol and test out their innovations without too much resource wasting. Okay, and so why is that beneficial? Well, it's beneficial for the enterprises and developers because it allows them to test new things and trial new innovations easily and flexibly at low cost. Okay, so that explains the demand side, the enterprises and developers. Now, what about the supply side, the protocols and innovations? Why is it beneficial for them? Because I mentioned before, it would be hard for them to garner significant exposure. So why not already join a network that has the enterprises and developers in instant freedom and flexibility to test their innovations? Okay, so let's picture this as kind of like Netflix, right? Would you buy Netflix if there were only, let's say, 5 TV shows and 5 movies on there, right? I mean, probably not as much as if you do now, right? And so what happens is the more shows and the more movies that join on Netflix, right, the more users want to buy Netflix, okay? And so that makes the platform more valuable. And what does that mean? It means more people or more film companies want their content to be on Netflix because there's more users there. And so what does that mean for the users? It means, well, there's more content on Netflix and they want to join it. You see what I'm saying? It's how meta platforms it's work. It's called Metcalfe's law. So I hope you guys understand what I'm meaning here. So meta platforms and portability. This is we've touched on this article before, and again, it's a really long one, but I think it's really good to kind of understand what we're talking about. I actually did make a video with Ghost about this a few months back. Overledger is a meta platform because it allows all these other protocols and platforms to connect, and it enables value transfer, feedback loops between affiliated platforms, right? Everyone benefits. And this leads to network effects, or what most people call is Metcalfe's law, okay? So this is how most kind of things work, or this is kind of how most things work today in the protocol sense, right? Like let's say this is like, this is EOS or Cardano or Ethereum or something, right? You know, there's different people on that network and they're doing that, right? But there's only a small amount of connections. Now this is Overledger, right? And you see, so let's say every one of these telephones is another protocol with their own connections onto it. Now they can keep connecting because as everyone adds, the number of connections actually exponentially grow. All right. So as I was mentioning here, the more protocols, users, developers, and enterprise inside the Overledger Sandbox environment, because as we mentioned before, Overledger allows you to test different technologies and protocols easily and flexibly. The more users and protocols and stuff that want to join inside the platform, and this is how a platform exponentially grows. So this is what I mean when I talk about Connector FOMO, right? I'm talking about projects similar to like Constellation and stuff in the crypto space who want their technology to be easily accessible. They're going to say to themselves, look, we'll build out some connectors, right? And we'll run some Overledger gateways so that people in this ecosystem here can connect to their innovative platform, and they can pitch their technology saying, look, join Overledger. It's cheap, it's flexible, and it's easily accessible, and you can test our technology. If you like it, they can then port volume through their gateway while simultaneously still using the current technology, right? So this is what I'm kind of talking about with Sandbox environment. You know, interoperability in the enterprise space and the crypto space is obviously a huge deal. Interoperating between networks, protocols, and digital assets. But the business value of Overledger allows these companies and enterprises to reduce their risk, right? And so risk is basically risk to reward basically when entering a new project or onboarding new technologies. You know, there's a lot of upfront costs, resources, and time. Okay, and so by limiting these risks through Overledger, as in the flexibility to pivot technologies, the ease of development, all that is really a highlighted point of the business value for Overledger for me as well. Of course, interoperability is a big one as well, but it doesn't have to be that way. You know, someone could join onto Overledger and just use Corda, but have the peace of mind in the back of their head that in a couple of years, if they want to port or use different networks or different protocols at the same time, they can without having too much of a headache. So I hope that kind of explains to you guys another area of value for Overledger that you probably hadn't thought of before, or you can kind of see how the gateways and the value for the network could increase exponentially. Thank you again for watching today. I hope that helped. Leave any comments or any questions, join the Telegram, and thank you for watching. Take it easy, guys. Bye.